senior defensive end Nate Vance and sophomore quarterback Colin Rear. Coach.
Again, coming off another disappointing, loss to UMass. Really guys fought hard. This is probably one of the first games that I'll sit there and I'll say kind of at the end it kind of fell apart, for us a little bit. But and we kind of, I don't think took a step forward. We kind of took a step back with things that we improved on the week before. So we'll go back to the drawing board, continue to get better, continue to coach them up. I know our guys will continue to work and practice hard, and we'll put our best foot forward with Army, which is a tough opponent coming in the middle of the season with the style of offense that they run, and they're very tough and very aggressive on defense. So it's going to pose a little bit of issues for both sides of the ball. But, it's homecoming. We'll have a lot of former players back. We'll have our captain's breakfast, on Saturday to get most of our captains back and talking with our guys and being around our guys. So it should be a big weekend for us.
I think you were still pretty emotional after the game. We get you so close to the end of it that now that you had a chance to kind of watch some of it towards the end of that, what did you see, kind of happening that hadn't happened before? Like what, almost was like a snowball that just started, rolling downhill. What did you see?
I think frustration. I still think it's frustration that kind of took over a little bit, and that's why I sit there and say at some point in time there's a boiling point for everyone, and I think we hit that boiling point to where you're in a game, and all of a sudden it kind of starts to fall apart with an opponent that that you can beat if you play well, and there's a little bit more frustration that kind of set in a little bit that we can't have. I mean, it just can't happen, and we can handle losses. I mean, everything's a process and everything's a shaping, and that's what we got to make sure that we stay within who we are, and that's what I felt like we didn't handle very well.
There's a fine line though between that frustration and passion. The frustration is because they're trying so hard and they want this so bad, and it's right there.
Yeah, you can call it passion. I call it frustration. And frustration to me is when you do stuff out of character, and that's why I call it frustration. And we don't get guys kicked out of games, and we don't walk off the field. Those are things we don't do. That's not who we are. So that's why I call it frustration.
What did you, LC obviously we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
kicked out. What did you say to him? What did you do? Do you care to?
I just talked to him, and we just had a meeting, and he knows. I mean, it's just again, it's the boiling point that he hit, and and that's where it's a learning experience from it, and for him, no matter what point you get to, there's a certain way that you gotta respond to it, and it's a teachable moment. It's a bad teachable moment, because he won't play the first half of this next game, and it hurts our team. It hurts our team. So, and he knows that. I mean, he knows that, and he's, sorry for it, but you just got to be able to control it when it happens.
Is that a set thing by you? If you get thrown out of a game, you miss the first half and
It's a case by case, but this is what will happen.
Nate, as a senior, you 2 years ago you were so high, and now you find yourself at this point. First of all, how hard is it for you to deal with that? Second of all, what do you do as a senior captain to kind of keep things, moving in a positive direction here as much as possible?
Right. Well, 0-6 is not where you want to be, especially as a senior. It's not how you imagine a senior year, but when things go wrong, that's when true character is revealed, and that's what Coach just talked about. When things aren't going the way you want it is when you truly figure out your character as an individual, as a team, as a person. And speaking when we were successful 2 years ago, that's a bad teacher, because when things go right, everyone's all in. Everyone wants to do everything for everyone, but when you're losing, that's when you find out who the real warriors are. And as a senior, and as it being my last year, I got to do my best to be an example for the guys around me that, hey, we have 6 games to go make it right. We have 6 games to go play and to go win. And no matter what's happened before, we're still blessed to play the game. It's still a great game. It's still a fun game. And you got to go play with all you got and fix the mistakes and try to go win 6 in a row.
Nate, you faced Army 2 years ago up at West Point, so you see the triple option. How much can you relate to the players, to the defense on how to play the triple option? It is one, when you face a spread and a pro style almost every week, and now you got to come face this type of an offense. How much can you bring to the rest of the defensive squad?
What you have to know first when you play a triple option team is you can't get overwhelmed in the first 2 series because it goes so fast. The scout team can't really, they do a good job, but they can't truly be as fast and use the speed as well as it is in the game. So the first 2 series, you're just like everywhere, like, holy cow, what's going on, you know? But you got to just stay in the moment, and the game slows down after the first series or 2. So you just got to tell the guys that, hey, after the first series or 2 or 3, it's really going to slow down. You're really going to see your reads, your keys, and it gets easier as the game goes on.
Coach, is this your first time, I know as a head coach, to face the triple option? How much is it from a coaching point of view to try and, it's not easy to stop one of these academies because they run that play that offense so well.
Yeah, and Coach Monken is one of those guys that are kind of in that tree that probably does it better than a lot of other people, who actually run it. I have a lot of respect for what he has done. This is not my first time. I've played Army before. I've played Navy before, also. But it is difficult in the middle of the season just because you don't have a lot of time to sit there. But I was sitting there talking a little bit earlier, and sometimes when you spend too much time on it, you start overthinking it, too much. And I believe after the last time I played a team like this, it was Navy. We had to stop a 2-point conversion to beat them. And talking with them afterwards and everything, that the mistake that a lot of people make is they try to do a bunch of changes. Still got to play your defense because once you're out there and the terminology and all that stuff has to be the same, and reads have to be the same, and you got to correlate it to already what you do. And that's the one thing that we definitely, won't confuse our guys this week with how we're going to defend it. They're going to get plays. I mean, we know that. We're going to get cut. We know that. And that's frustrating. That's very frustrating time after time after time. And those are the things that we can't let bother us. So it's just like, we just talked about. We can't sit there and let it be so fast for us because that's the number one thing. Scout team can't simulate it. I mean, it's not going to happen. We can put everybody in there to try to simulate it and move a guy here and don't have a ball and don't do all that. You cannot simulate it, and it happens so much faster, in the game. But, it's just responsibility football. That's what it is. And guys got to make plays, though, because you're only going to have one-on-one. They got a hat for a hat all the time.
Colin, how about you facing an Army defense? Once, I don't know how much you've had a chance to see them, but your impressions, if you have seen them on film so far.
Well, I remember my freshman year, I got to travel and watch the game. It's just a physical team that, never quits. They're like relentless, always getting to the ball. But at the end of the day, it's the same. It's still our offense. We're still got to run the same things, go through your reads. And, stuff's going to be the same. They just don't quit on plays ever, don't quit at the end of games. It's going to be a very physical game, trenches with the offensive line and defensive line. But, yeah, you can go.
Speaking of physically, how are you physically after the ding you took at NIU? Are you back on the mend?
Yeah, I feel good. It's a little bit sore, but nothing major. I'm good.
Going into the game, I mean, defensively, they're going to score. I mean, you guys have a season high of 17. Probably not going to be enough. I mean, talk about offensively, this is kind of your week, knowing that the defense has got its hands full. That you guys really, as an offense, need to kind of step up and kind of take command and put some points on the board and take the heat off them.
We've had our opportunities, and it's always just been, a penalty that kills a drive or, me not making a throw or someone not making a catch. It's always just been something. We just got to really work and focus on, making the plays when they're there, when they present themselves, and, taking the opportunities we have to, keep drives going, to keep the defense off the field, and just, put points on the board. And we have it. It's just hasn't been working out for us, and we just got to keep working on getting better and, getting points on the board for them and keeping defense on the field so they're fresh when they go back on.
I'm curious, for you, when you hear Colin say that makes sense, that the offense and what they're gonna do is set, it's just a matter of doing it correctly. But when you're at a point where you're 0-6, and I know you're a defensive coach, so maybe you let Coach Rock do a little bit more than maybe somebody else would, but do you ever feel like, and Colin, maybe even you too, do you ever feel like, is it time to change something? Is it time to try something a little different? Is it time to just do something different instead of believing that this will work?
Yeah, I think you go back to what Colin just said. It's there. It's just a matter of doing it the right way, And, I think change is a sign of, how do I want to put it? Panicking. I think it's a sign of you're not confident in what you're doing, and that's not us. There's plays that are there. There's things we have to do better to make sure that we put ourselves in that position. But, panic and retreat is not in our vocabulary.
It's a good way to say it.
Nate, I would like to ask, you and Colin were on that team that went up to West Point. What was it like? When I ask players or coaches when they play the academies, whether they go to West Point or Colorado Springs or Annapolis, they always take something away from that besides the game. Do you remember that game and what you took away? It's a totally different experience on a college football Saturday at those places.
Right. I think the thing I took away most, obviously besides the tradition and the history of the stadium, was just that it's bigger than football, and I love football. It employs my family back at home, but in the end, it's a game. And when you play those teams, you get a reminder that, hey, these people fight for our freedom to play this game, and that's what I took away from it.
Totally different.
Injury-wise, you came out of that pretty well. I thought just Nagy, is that right? The last game?
Yeah, Nagy and Macaulay did have a little back spasms that was kind of going on,
that's what happened.
with him. So I think he should be okay, but that was the issue, with him, was having a little bit of lower back spasms that was going on. So we'll see how he progresses during the week.
And Watt didn't play it.
Terrence didn't play. He just wasn't ready to, and just really for our sake is don't try to put him out there. I mean, he practiced all week, for us, but just didn't feel that he was ready to, push off and play. And we'll see what he is this week. I mean, it's kind of a little scary playing these teams with a bummed up knee, but we'll see. I think he should be ready to roll though. He felt good Tuesday and Wednesday, and then, it kind of started to wear on him a little as the week, goes on. And when you deal with young kids who have their first injury, and this is his first, I mean, you should have seen when it happened. It was just like, holy smokes, And I always go injuries off of the screams. Most of the time when a guy gets hurt and he screams and acts real, it's really not as bad. When the guy is silent, he really knows something just happened. So I'm not trying to call Terrence out, but he was doing a lot of screaming, So, he'll be okay. And that's what he said. He said, this is the first time I've had, my knee hurt. I thought I was done. I thought my career was ended. I mean, the whole nine, So it's just a matter of him getting the comfort zone back out there and being able to push off and doing the things. So he should be fine, but we'll see.
So that begs the question, Colin, were you quiet when you got hurt in one week, or did you scream like that?
I ain't want to say nothing.
No, mine. It was.
Give it away by his face, so I couldn't tell.
It was weird because last year when I hurt my ankle against Ball State, it didn't hurt as bad. And then this year when it happened, I felt something like pop or crack. I don't remember. And I thought it was broken or something really tore, and then it ended up not being as bad. It was just weird how it happened that time. I don't know if there wasn't as much adrenaline or what going on. But no, I was rolling around and screaming. So I could be, yeah, I could be put in that category.
I wasn't
yeah.
gonna say it.
I'm not gonna say it in the face. Say behind my back. That's cool.
Well, can you talk a little bit about, it's a little tougher on you, I think, this year because you have to do a little bit more because of the running game struggling the way that it is. You know, when you're the leading rusher, that kind of is a sign that what can you do or what have you done or what's your mindset in terms of knowing that, you know, a lot of defenses can set up to defend you, knowing that there's not a whole lot with the run game?
Well, it's still in our offense. We all the zone reads, all the different stuff that we have. Even when we're starting to throw more, a lot of teams tend to play man coverage on us, and if no one's there against man coverage, if you pull the ball and get through the line as a quarterback and run, there's a lot of opportunity there for yards, and I just have to be a little bit quicker with my decisions. I have to be, if I see a lane to run, sometimes, it's first, second down, just take it because I know I'll get the 4 or 5 yards and puts in a good position to keep the chains moving. And I just really have to, just be better than I was last year. And it's that process of just, taking it step by step, little by little, getting better and better. And, we're coming along pretty good with the running game and everything, and it's getting easier for us, and we're starting to, get more yards per game and all that. And at the end of the day, it's just, playing offense, and when you have that opportunity to make a play, we have to make the play.
And that's a fine line, though, for you, because I'm sure that when you first came in, it was, we want you to throw, maybe you don't want to look to run as much. So has that considerably changed from last year?
Not really considerably. It's just, that I understand the defenses more, and I understand the offense a little more,
So when
and
to
stuff
do
like
it.
that. Yeah, when to do it in the situations. I mean, if it's a 3rd and 12 and you just see a lane right off the bat, you got to, trust the line a little bit more and wait and see if something comes open, and then maybe go try to make the play. But, it's like I said, you just got to know the situations and understand football a little bit more now.
It seems like when teams struggle, one of the things that happens, like, every time I talk to you about who played well, one week it's these guys, next week it's different guys. That's kind of been going on all year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the consistency factor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, and that's where you have to be able to play more consistent. It can't be up and down. We have certain guys who have to play well for us, and they have to play well for us all the time for us to be, successful. But, anytime you're struggling, there's a lot of issues you can sit there and look at. But, definitely playing on a consistent basis and do the things that you do well, continually do those, improve on the things you're not doing well. You have to do those. I mean, we gave up more big plays defensively this last game than we have in a long time, and that's uncharacteristic of us. And we knew going into it, I felt that this team had the best chance to sit there and do it. And I'm talking about MAC opponents up until this point, just with the style of play that they play. And we knew that we couldn't. I knew we were going to be in trouble if we gave up big plays, and we ended up doing that. But that's where you talk about we can't do that. We have been really good on a consistent basis of not giving up a lot of big plays versus, MAC opponents, and we gave them up this past week. So yeah, we have to be more consistent.
Nate, that kind of makes me feel like as a defensive unit, you guys have to be on all the time. That's tough for almost anybody. Was there anything that you saw in the game, though, as Coach was saying, the big plays, things like that, that was different than it had been that you guys were doing? Sometimes it's just the opponents doing it, and there's not a whole lot sometimes you can do. But when it's consistently that it's the big plays, then it makes me think it's more defensive than anything.
Well, I mean, they are on scholarship too. They're brought to make plays, but the things we gave up goes back to fundamentals. I mean, every scheme should work that we run. It's not the play call. It's how you play the call. Whether it's your pad level or your use of your hands or eye control or whatever. So the plays we gave up were just a lack of fundamentals on our part, and that's how we need to focus this week even more so, is we really need to hit home the fundamentals, especially for a team that exposes you like Army does when you don't
Yeah.
use fundamentals. You have to. So that's really what I saw is we just have to just rezone in on what we do in terms of the little things, and that's really how you stop big plays.
And Paul, I'm assuming that what's tough about that is that you're at this point in the season and you're still talking about fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of that is you've got a lot of young guys, you've got a lot of experienced guys in there. I mean, it's almost like, how can you not have that when these are guys that most players learn that way? That's how you learn, that's how you become experienced.
And it's a process, and that's the thing that, we can sit there and be frustrated. We are, because we don't want to be where we are. But the only thing that we can do is continue to coach them like crazy, and the guys continue to work like crazy. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to continue to do those things to eliminate those things, to become more consistent in what we do. What makes you so frustrated is you don't play your best game. You can handle losing so much if you put yourselves in position to win the game and you play well enough to win. That's why we're so hurt on this one, because we didn't play very well. Yeah, we got young guys, but they're not young anymore. This is the 7th week of the season, so we can't use that anymore. We just got to demand a little bit more from the coaching standpoint, demand it. We have to demand it, and it's what you demand, and we got to make sure that they're doing it.
Is it ever amazing to you, as much as it is here, you get a team like Army that runs this system constantly, and it's what they run, and they recruit for that system,
Yeah.
and that, but typically there are a lot of teams, a lot of coaches that will adjust their system to the players you have.
Right.
And yet Army runs this system offensively and it continues to succeed in it.
Yeah.
Does it ever make other coaches think, well, maybe we should try something like that? Why is it so unique, and why does it only work a certain time?
Well, I think you look at them, and their whole makeup is totally different. They only get maybe an hour a day with these guys, so there's not a whole lot. I mean, there's a lot of other important things that these guys are doing, during the daytime, and I'm grateful for it, for sure. So, when you talk about, I don't even think it matters that they watch film of the opponent.
Yeah.
There's only a certain amount of ways that you can line up versus that formation, and there's only a certain amount of things, and all they do is they take snapshots, and they have an answer. So there's not a whole lot of film they need to watch on the opponent. They just need to sit there and run it and see how you're going to come out and do it, and they always have, an answer for it. So that's what we have to make sure that we kind of do, the same thing. And that's what I said earlier. We have to stay in the confinements of our defense and not try to create something totally different that we've never, done before, because they're going to have an answer. They're going to have an answer for whatever it is you do. They're going to have an answer for it, and you got to have some counters to it also too.
Are they playing 2 quarterbacks?
You know what? There's a couple guys that I see on film. Now, I kind of go through a little bit of the games this morning, and then I just started watching, cut-ups, and you see a couple different guys in there. You see a couple different guys in their running back, positions. There's about 4 or 5 guys that they're using, back there also too. But I believe number 11 and number 3 they've had in there at the quarterback positions. That when I run through the games, I see both of those guys back there. So I don't know what the dynamics of it. I haven't really broken down as far as when they played. But I know number 3 was a starter versus Rice last week. He played the whole game, I believe.
He has the bigger numbers.
Yeah, I think he's very, very good. He's a fast kid, and in these offenses, it's always the fullback and it's the quarterback. Those are the things that you got to make sure that you stop the dive. They can't run the dive for 20 times a game or you're in trouble, and you got to make sure that you do a good job stopping the quarterback. I mean, those are how you get hurt in these offenses.
Does it help at all to know that Nate's played, Colin's seen it?
Mhm.
Does that make you feel a little bit better about that, because they have played this already, that you're not just telling them, it's crazy, guys, you're saying it's crazy, but we know how to handle it? Does that help?
Yeah, I think, kind of like Nate said, you can give that little bit of advice that it's going to be faster than this. You know, I'm telling you, it's going to happen faster than this. And I mean, this thing is kind of like, you know, you're outside with a bunch of gnats gnawing at you. They're going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming. They're going to keep coming. You're going to keep getting cut. You're going to keep getting cut. You're going to keep getting cut. I mean, it is a patient. You have to be totally patient on defense just to sit there and not let it frustrate you, and you got to keep your eye control. I mean, it's one rep at a time every single snap, or they're going to pop a big play, you know, right when you sit there and you want to peak. So it does help that these guys have done it, and they can talk to our guys and sit there and say and give them that advice. But, you know, Nate's going to be out there doing the same thing, you know. And like I said, that it's good that you can sit in the huddle, because we tell our guys, you know, hey, do you want 11th? Great eye control. Here's the down and distance. Here's the personnel. Those are things that we do on a constant basis. This week is the same thing. Hey, do you want 11th? Let's have great eye control. Don't get frustrated. You know, saying those things to us so we can just slow the game down and calm down.
Nate, talk to me about it. Even just thinking about it, you're making faces because it's tough. We talk about it now. Just talk about what that's like.
In terms of playing Army,
Yeah.
like,
I got to tell you this, though.
What?
Nate loves this offense. His dad is like a guru of this offense. So, therefore, that's why he's excited about this offense.
He's excited. That wasn't the look I had, but okay.
well, I mean, I've grown up with it.
That's true. That's
So-
a good point. Does that help at all then?
It does, because, I mean, all the times at dinner where I didn't want to hear what was going on about the offense is now coming to
Now you're like, can we talk about
right. Let me call you real quick. But no, I mean, I enjoy it. It's something different. It's a different pace, and it's not the. Don't get me wrong, defense is great no matter who you play, but it's not the same old. You're not just lining up against a zone team. It's just, I guess, it adds a different just flavor to the game, which I really like. But Coach is right. I mean, you got to do your 111th, and they'll just keep coming at you. But you just have to outlast them.
Time for one more. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had to throw that in there.
He was disappointed we didn't ask.